Hello everyone, I hope you had a happy Easter. However, to conclude your Easter Sunday, 8:37 at night, sitting here, kitchen table, glass of water to my left, I got the Holy Grail, NFL mock draft to my right. We're going to run through these picks today, and I hope you really enjoy this episode. Alright, let's get this party started. First up, the Titans. You might as well etch this one in stone. Cam Ward, Miami. Titans need a quarterback. Who do you like? The minute they canceled the workout with Shedeur Sanders, we knew right away. Tennessee likes Cam Ward. They see him as a quarterback of the future, and I don't blame him. He has every arm angle in the books. Decently, very mobile athlete, by the way. Excellent arm. Relatively accurate in college. Sure, did he have it a little too perfect in Miami at times? Yes, but he's thrived in less than perfect scenarios as well. This is also going to be a great leader. Seems like he's a good kid, good family. Overall, slam dunk pick. Good job, Tennessee. Get this one in ASAP. Now, the Browns. Picking second overall today. We are going to now take cornerback / wide receiver Travis Hunter, Colorado. Again, another one set in stone. They need help at corner? Yes. They need help at receiver? Yes. Why not get the man who can help you in both departments? This is a team that just needs juice, and if there's one thing Travis Hunter provides, it's juice and it's big plays. This is a big play merchant. He caught a lot of touchdowns. He took away a lot of footballs. So let's just say I'm in love with Travis Hunter. He has all the traits. He's going to get it done at the next level. Now, how much will he play on both sides? I don't know. Personally, I see him as more of a defensive back who will be a red zone receiver. I do not see him as a guy who can stay as a wide receiver between the 20s. I do never think his route running will get there as long as he plays defense. However, I'm still trusting that Travis Hunter is going to be an impact player for the Cleveland Browns. Easiest pick of them all coming up next. New York Giants, Abdul Carter, edge rusher, Penn State. This guy was made in the lab. You want a perfect edge rusher, this is it. Is the foot injury a concern? Yes. I think he'll be healthy. No one's really panicking. I wouldn't panic either. Get this guy in here. He is the modern edge rusher in this league. Alrighty, New England Patriots, my team. We are not trading down. I don't care what anyone tells you. We will not trade down. Drake May needs protection. And the best way to make sure this passer is protected is to take Will Campbell, LSU, which is what I have them taken. This is a man, excellent footwork. He's going to have a great kick step. He's going to stay in front of guys. Sure, the arm length is a concern. However, as defensive ends get smaller, I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes less and less of an issue as he gets older. And worst comes to worst, if you're willing to fix his stance, you can kick him to guard later. Caveat, though, if you're willing to fix his stance. Jacksonville Jaguars, another easy pick. Get Mason Graham. This is a slam dunk defensive tackle. He's going to rush the passer well. He is the most powerful player in football. He is going to wreck opposing guards in the run game. He's going to wreck them in the pass game. He's going to get a lot of sacks. He's going to get a lot of tackles for loss. Let's just say, I think he'll find his next home in opposing backfields. Jacksonville Jaguars, excellent start to their new era under general manager James Gladstone. Moving on now to the Las Vegas Raiders. This is a Pete Carroll pick. This is an attitude pick. You look at the Pete Carroll teams of old. What they have? Great running backs. Marshawn Lynch. That's one that comes up right away. And I think they're going to go for their version of beast mode here and take the beast that is Ashton Genty out of Boise State. This is a man who nearly won the Heisman as a running back. This kid can fly. In the open field, I don't want to touch him. I want no part of him. If I'm a defensive back, I start making business decisions. In addition, I think the most underrated aspect of his game is the pass protection. He stays in front of his guys in pass pro. We all know that with Geno Smith, you're going to run a lot of play action. Running back's going to have to protect. I think Genty is the perfect fit for what they're trying to do alongside Geno Smith. Alrighty, now we're going to move on to 7 here. This is the New York Jets. They just got Justin Fields. They're going to run it more. The QB run game is going to go crazy. What you now need is a tackle that dominates the run game. Olufashinu on the left side looks like he's going to be a great pass blocker for a long time. So why not go ahead and get the best run blocking tackle in this draft? Probably one of the best run blocking tackles in a while, to be honest with you, in Arnon Membu from Missouri. This guy right here is going to wreck people on dart or tackle counter. You're going to see this is a guy who's going to nail some of these key run plays. Again, dart, counter. Going to be a great outside zone guy. All in all, love him. Get this pick locked up. Alrighty. This is where the draft gets fun, everyone, because I have a mini trade here. The New Orleans Saints and Carolina Panthers swap picks. However, it's not for who you think. I know a lot of people are talking about Shedeur Sanders. However, I've also heard some buzz about Jackson Dart as the quarterback, and frankly, I believe personally that the New Orleans Saints will swap picks and take Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. Now listen to me here. Let's look at what Kellen Moore tries to do. This is a guy who historically has run a lot of play action, a lot of RPO, tends to like a bigger, more mobile, more athletic quarterback. Even if you look at Dak Prescott, who's the least athletic of the quarterbacks he coached, still decently mobile and athletic before the injuries got him. I do not think Shedeur Sanders fits what he's trying to do. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be more of a true quick passing quarterback. I think there are some teams he fits for. I do not think he is a Kellen Moore scheme fit. I think Dart is the man in New Orleans. Even if Carr gets hurt, I think they're willing to deal with it, let Dart develop, and get their quarterback future right here. Now, the Carolina Panthers pick doesn't change. They're going to pick 9, and they're going to do what everyone tells you they are going to do. They will draft Jalen Walker from Georgia. This is very simple. You need help. You need a weapon. This is not about specialists. No. You need a weapon. Could he be at risk of being a tweener? Yes. However, I like the Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator, Ajura. I think he's going to know exactly what to do with Jalen Walker. He's going to know how to move him around. Okay, I know he can play off the ball on these downs. I know he can rush a pass on these downs. Okay, I know that I can really shock people and then keep them on the edge for a full series at a time. This is a versatile chess piece that's going to be a great foundation as they rebuild this defense. Okay, now we're going to go to pick number 10. Pick number 10 here. And the Chicago Bears are going to be laughing their way to the bank as they take Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. Now, a lot of teams have had to reach so far for needs, so you're going to see a great talent slip. This is the talent I'm thinking. Tyler Warren is going to have a little slip. However, the Bears will stop that quickly. You go get that weapon that Ben Johnson loves. Ben Johnson, again, is used to having great tight ends. Think Sam Laporta over in Detroit. I'm going to get my Sam Laporta. And remember, Sam Laporta was drafted pretty early, and people said, what the heck were they doing? Ben Johnson's going to do it again, and he's going to look real smart when Tyler Warren becomes an all-pro. Now the San Francisco 49ers. Some people think they're going to try to move out of this pick, either going up or going back. However, I don't think there's a trade-out partner for them. Remember, it takes 2 to tango. So I think they're going to stay here. I'm going to think they're going to take a pass rush specialist. Give me Mike Green from Marshall. Remember something, with edge rushers, college production is key. Guys who produce in college on the edge are generally guys that produce in the pros. That is just a straight fact. Mike Green produced in college, and that was a fact. Add in the fact now that Robert Saleh is willing to use wide 9 techniques. Mike Green at his best is a wide 9 pass rusher with every single move in the book. My saying with him, he has all the answers to the test, and you don't need to teach him anything when it comes to pass rush moves. I love him. This is a guy who's going to make a lot of people look real stupid. Now, the character concerns are there. However, I think he's done a good job handling them so far, and if the interview process went well, this is going to be the pick. Now we're going to move to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to shock some people. Now, yes, there's some talks of, the Cowboys need a weapon. The Dallas Cowboys need a wide receiver. The Dallas Cowboys need this. The Dallas Cowboys need that. However, let's also face the fact that the Dallas Cowboys cannot run the football. They are chronically incapable of running a football. They have also done extensive homework on guards. They're going to try to trade out of this pick. I don't think they'll have a partner. However, what I do think will happen is that they will select Tyler Booker from Alabama. I've seen this more and more and more. He's going to fit what they're trying to do. Brian Schottenheimer, if you look at what he did in the past, when he was with the Jets, there was a power running game. Tyler Booker is the quintessential gap scheme guard. You want to put a statement piece on the Brian Schottenheimer offense, this is the statement piece, Tyler Booker. Next up, Miami Dolphins. Miami needs a corner. It's obvious. The pick, to me, is simple. Jahdae Barron, Texas. This is a guy who can play the nickel. He can play outside. He can play man. He can play zone. He can do anything a corner needs to do. So get that versatile chess piece in your secondary right now. So if you trade Jalen Ramsey, you have a replacement. If you don't trade Jalen Ramsey, you can have Barron and Ramsey together. That is excellent in a division where you do see the Buffalo Bills, by the way. Okay, now we're going to move on to pick 14 here. Now, the Colts, they missed out on Tyler Warren. However, do not fret. You will get a tight end. His name, Colston Loveland from Michigan. Again, this is a guy where Jim Harbaugh just trusted him to run directly behind. You ran run plays directly behind Colston Loveland. That tells you what he is as a run blocker. By the way, fluid route runner, natural hands catcher, good all-around tight end. He and Tyler Warren are both going to make great pros, and the Colts are going to be happy with their pick. Alrighty, now we move on to pick 15. And there's another trade. The Atlanta Falcons originally hold this pick, but they have just 4 selections. If you want to think about teams that want to move up, they are teams that need weapons. A team that comes to mind for me is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh is known to get gutsy when he thinks he has his guy, and he knows he's especially going to get gutsy when he has a great quarterback who is in desperate need of help. So I'm saying that the Los Angeles Chargers, they're going to come up and they're going to take wide receiver Ted McMillan from Arizona. This is a big jump ball receiver. He's going to be great in their play action game. And by the way, generally speaking, at least in my opinion, is going to be a little more competent than Quentin Johnston. I know the pick has Quentin Johnston written all over it. However, they do need a big jump ball target. Quentin Johnston's not the answer. I think they swing back at it again and go get Ted McMillan to complement Ladd McConkey. Okay, now let's keep going with these picks now. I'm on the Arizona Cardinals. This is where the most polarizing prospect of this entire draft goes off. Shamar Stewart, edge, Texas A&M. He is taking the trip to Arizona. Here's why. His size and his traits are Jonathan Gannon right there. And by the way, Jonathan Gannon has taken developmental edge rushers before. Remember Nolan Smith from Georgia. Turned out pretty well for him. Nolan Smith actually has done pretty well for himself in the league so far. I want you to look at some of these stats here. He was drafted as a developmental prospect, and I believe, hold up, give me a second here. He was drafted now in 2023. And in 2024, this is the developmental prospect, by the way, 6.5 sacks. 6.5 sacks in 2024. So he's really turned his thing around. And again, if Jonathan Gannon's done it once with Nolan Smith, I'm confident he'll do it again with a much better athlete. Okay, now the Cincinnati Bengals. It's obvious. They need defense. They need a great defensive lineman. Shamar Stewart is off the board. Jalen Walker is off the board. Mike Green is gone. So now you're looking at Michael Williams and you're like, do I really want that? Well, I say no. I say they're going to get it right. They're going to get Kenneth Grant from Michigan. This is a 340-pound mauler. I mean, absolute mauler. I want you to take a look at this guy right here. He is going to be an absolute freak. He ran a sub 540, according to Jim Harbaugh, which is pretty impressive. Relatively smart guy, relatively developed pass rusher, and he has a lot of production. Sure, I don't think he's still going to be the most consistent right away. However, I think that if you teach him how to find that, to get to that second answer faster, he's someone who I'm going to like as a pro. Okay, now the Seattle Seahawks. God knows they need a guard. God knows they need a tackle. Why not get a guy who can potentially play both positions depending on how your offensive line shakes out? So with the 18th pick, Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, Texas. Now, does he have the tape at tackle that makes you think he can play there? You bet. Does he have the measurables of a tackle? Not everyone is in agreement with that. Many think that is a guard in the NFL. A lot of his issues, many think, well, doesn't have the fastest feet. He's a guard in the pros. Well, the Seattle Seahawks can find out because he can play guard for them right now. And if they need him to play tackle, they can have him play tackle. This is the best of both worlds. You can satisfy potentially two different needs here with one pick, and I love that. Alrighty, next up is a trade. The Buffalo Bills are going to jump from 30 to 19. Josh Allen needs help. He needs weapons. He is crying right now. Please draft receivers. Okay, wishes granted, Josh Allen. Meet Matthew Golden from Texas. This is a straight speedster. This guy's going to move around. He's going to get a lot done. Now, we know what Keon Coleman is. We know he's a pretty good red zone threat. We know that he's doing well. Why not get a guy who just moves around the formation and is going to certainly roam all over the field with excellent speed and solid route running? Give me Matthew Golden from Texas. Now, we're at Denver, pick 20. This has not been a good draft for them. This is a team that has needed weapons, and they've seen a whole lot of weapons go off the board, and now Buffalo jumped them to get Matthew Golden. However, Sean Payton doesn't panic. He is not going to go crazy. He's not going to trade down. No. He's going to stay right where he is and draft Omarion Hampton, the second best running back in this class. Again, another great do-it-all back. Back in many classes, he would be running back 1. However, we have this guy named Ashton Genty, so he's running back 2. Nonetheless, this is a great back. He's going to be a good pro. Good job, Sean Payton. Get your guy. Now, you're wondering, well, where's Shedeur Sanders? You saw them take Jackson Dart. How come no one's talked about Shedeur Sanders? Well, here he is. And in the perfect storm for the Steelers, with the 21st pick, they get quarterback Shedeur Sanders, Colorado. Again, Sanders is sliding. It seems like New Orleans did more with Dart, and they like Dart just that little bit more. So you're going to see a lot of teams. You're going to see a big slide for Shedeur here. However, he's going to find a home he likes. He's going to have excellent wide receiver play from day one when it comes to DK Metcalf and George Pickens. So those guys are going to get a quarterback that can distribute the football quickly and accurately. And by the way, he has plenty enough arm for the NFL. Next up, Atlanta. Remember, they moved to pick 22 with that trade with the Chargers, and Atlanta is going to get edge rusher Michael Williams. Here. Again, a lot of the other edge rushers they could have taken, they were not able to get because they did need to trade down, so there was no Shamar Stewart in their future. However, I think they get a better fit. Again, if you look at Raheem Morris and you look at what they're going to look for, they need a guy who's able to work both outside and inside. Michael Williams is able to do just that. He can play on both spots of the defensive line. He's going to be able to generate pressures from those areas. I think the end product will come with time. And I think if Raheem Morris does his job well, the end product will come. And you're going to get a guy who can move all across the formation and be a real game wrecker for you. Okay. Green Bay Packers. This is more of a gut feeling pick. There's not much analytics behind this one. But remember something. Jeff Hafley, before he became defensive coordinator here, was the head coach of where? Boston College. Do you know who he probably recruited? Some guy named Donovan Ezzie out of Boston College. Okay, you already know the guy. You know he fits your scheme. He's going to be standing right in front of you. Yes, James Pierce is there, but I don't think Jeff Hafley gets tempted. I think the Packers are going to take Jonathan Ezerako from Boston College, and I think they're going to be really happy with their decision here. This is a pure speed rusher. He has great moves, and I think he's going to be a guy that the Green Bay Packers will covet. Jeff Hafley knows exactly where to put him. Get a guy you know who's going to fit your program. Let's get it done, Green Bay. Alrighty, got another trade for you here. The Browns come back into the first round. They're going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. This is another team. Doesn't have a lot of picks. The Vikings, I think, got like 4 or 5 as well. So they're going to move back. They're going to want some picks here. And the Browns are going to come in, and they're going to take Jalen Milroe, Alabama. Right now, you have Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. You have veterans there. Sure, it's not going to be a great year. However, get Jalen Milroe in your building. Let him sit for a year, and you might have a quarterback in the future. I think Andrew Berry, coming off the Deshaun Watson disaster, is going to look to draft and develop a quarterback this time. He's going to look for a high-character guy, and if there's one thing you know about Jalen Milroe, he's a leader, he's an achiever, great guy, great family, and he's not going to embarrass your organization in the way Deshaun Watson did. So Andrew Berry gets his detox in Jalen Milroe. Now, the Texans. The Texans are going to have it good here. They wouldn't have had to move up. They're going to have a tackle fall in their lap. His name, Josh Simmons, Ohio State. Yes, I wonder, is the knee healthy? That is a question. However, if you're sure on his knee, you are getting possibly the most refined offensive tackle in this class who would have been taken much higher had he not suffered that left knee injury here. The Texans get a steal, and I'm all for it. Now we're on the Rams. The Rams need a playmaker behind their defensive line. They just do. They need a guy who can play off ball, can play safety, who can move around maybe as a big nickel, God forbid. Well, you got that in Nick Emanwori. I personally see him as more of an off-ball type rather than a safety. However, he's a guy who's a freakish athlete, can move all across the formation. And when you're facing the high-powered passing attacks in the NSC, you need a big safety-type guy who can roam, who can get wherever he needs to in the formation to make a play. You've actually seen the Ravens, the team that picks next. They had success with this in the AFC with Kyle Hamilton. I think the Rams copy the Ravens' homework here. Go get themselves a big athletic safety like Nick Emanwori out of South Carolina. Now, speaking of the Ravens, they pick next. And here's who I have for them. Malachi Starks, Georgia. Smart, tough, physical producer. This is the type of guy who plays like a Raven. Again, you know what he is. He's a safe pick. He's a smart player. Good program. He's going to fit in right away and keep that Ravens secondary nice and secure for decades. Next up's Detroit. Lord knows they need an edge rusher. They don't need a big physical guy now. They already have Aiden Hutchinson. They already have their huge, massive edge rusher. They're going to probably look for more of a speed rusher here. You've seen Donovan Ezzie mocked here before. However, I don't think he'll be there. I think they go for the next best thing, and that is James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Again, another guy, speed rusher, a lot of great moves. Perfect complements that bigger, more physical presence of Aiden Hutchinson. So let's just say, get him out wide and watch him get some sacks for the Detroit Lions. Next up for Chicago, and this is actually very interesting. This is another trade. I have Chicago coming back into the first round with Washington. Listen to me here. Ryan Polis is on a prove-it year. He is not going to sit on 2 second-round picks with his job on the line. You just hired Ben Johnson. If you don't get it done with this new head coach, I think Ryan Polis could find himself out of a job. He has to take a swing. He knows he needs interior defensive line help. Derek Harmon's right here. Trade with Washington and go get yourself that defensive lineman you need. Get yourself Derek Harmon from Oregon. Good work. Now, Tampa Bay. This is another scenario where you trade down and worked out. Remember, they made that trade with Buffalo early in my mock here. And now we're on Jahad Campbell of Alabama. Again, Todd Bowles, when you're going to blitz as much as they do, you need linebackers that are smart, sharp, and cover. And if there's one thing Jahad Campbell's going to do, he's smart, sharp, he can cover. He also is able to blitz. This is the type of linebacker, that do-it-all style backer, that's going to make Todd Bowles smile. He's going to be right there for you at 30. You traded down, you got who you wanted, probably got an extra pick along the way. So good job, Bucks. You got Jahad Campbell. Now we're on the final 2 picks. This is another trade. The Niners come back in and take the Chiefs' pick. And here's why. The Niners need a defensive back. They just do. They need a true outside guy. Robert Saleh's a quarters-heavy scheme guy. They need a true off-ball corner. Will Johnson is available. Remember, all the buzz around him says he's going to slide. And I really have him sliding. However, I think the Niners come in and stop the slide because remember something here. I want to show you something about this order. It's actually very important here about the NFL draft order this year. This is actually a pretty key deal here. You're going to see the Raiders own their second-round pick. The Raiders also need a defensive back. And if you don't get the pick now, you're going to have to watch the Raiders get the defensive back you so desperately need. Get your zone corner, get Will Johnson, and sleep well at night knowing that you've solved the 2 biggest problems on your team. Now, finally, Philly. This is what Philly does. They get great linemen. Just like Milton Williams, okay, no problem. Let's go get Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss to coach him up a little bit. Let's get ourselves a nice interior rusher out of defensive tackle Walter Nolan. So there you have it, everybody. That's the mock draft right now. I will probably see you guys again on Wednesday with more information. That's all from me. Again, enjoy your Easter. Hello, everyone. I hope you had a happy Easter. However, to conclude your Easter Sunday,